There are Mercedes-Benz sedans still running today in daily service that have passed 1 million kilometers on the original engine without it ever being taken apart. 620,000 miles. Some have gone past 2 million. They are not sitting in museums. They are taxis in West Africa, work cars in the Balkans, farm vehicles in the Middle East, places where a car that breaks is a car that ends a livelihood. And where the people choosing them have decided, over 50 years of evidence, that this one engine is the one that does not break. The engine is the Mercedes-Benz OM617. A 5-cylinder diesel. 3 litres. First built in 1974, by a wide margin, it is one of the most durable engines ever put in a passenger car. And Mercedes-Benz, the company that designed it, proved it, and built much of its reputation on it, stopped making it, and never built anything like it again. That is the part worth understanding. Mercedes did not retire the OM617 because it failed. It was retired because it succeeded too completely at the exact moment the rules of the industry were turning in a direction that had no use for an engine built to last forever. This is the story of how the most reliable engine Mercedes ever made became an engine Mercedes could no longer afford to build. To understand why this engine mattered, you have to remember what diesel meant in America when it arrived. The oil crises of the 1970s had made fuel economy a national obsession almost overnight. And a diesel that returned 30 miles to the gallon while running for 500,000 miles was, for a certain kind of buyer, the most rational car on the market. Mercedes leaned directly into that. The diesel 300D and later the turbocharged 300SD became the quiet, expensive, unkillable choice of doctors, professors, and anyone who did the math on a car as a 20-year purchase rather than a 5-year one. The contrast that made the point sharpest came from General Motors. At almost the same moment, GM tried to meet the same diesel demand by converting a gasoline V8 into a diesel, the Oldsmobile 5.7-litre, and it was a failure so complete that it soured American buyers on diesel cars for a generation. Mercedes was the opposite lesson. One company built a diesel as a shortcut, the other built one as a monument. When the OM617 arrived in 1974 in the W115 240D-3.0, it was the first 5-cylinder engine ever fitted to a production passenger car. The choice of 5 cylinders was not a gimmick. Mercedes wanted more power and torque than its 4-cylinder diesel could make without the length, weight, and cost of a 6. 5 cylinders gave them the displacement of a larger engine in a package barely longer than the 4. And a diesel 5 has a natural smoothness a 4 does not. Its firing order spreads the combustion pulses out enough that it does not need a balanced shaft to stay civilized. So they took the existing 4-cylinder OM616, added one more cylinder, and produced a 3-litre diesel that made about 80 horsepower. 80 horsepower from 3 litres is the whole point, even though it does not look like it. That is a very low output for the displacement. It is also exactly why the engine lasts. Mercedes tuned the OM617 for almost nothing, low stress, low strain, every part working far below its limit. An engine asked to make modest power from a large, heavy, overbuilt structure is an engine that spends its entire life loafing. And an engine that loafs is an engine that does not wear out. The structure was the rest of the answer. The block and the cylinder head are both cast iron at a time when that meant mass, rigidity, and resistance to the heat and pressure a diesel generates. The crankshaft is forged steel, induction hardened, and it rides in 6 main bearings, one between every cylinder, and one at each end, so it is supported better than most engines of any kind. The connecting rods are forged. The camshaft is driven by a double-row roller chain, not a rubber belt, and that chain is built to last the life of the engine, rather than to be swapped out every 80,000 miles. The fuel system is a Bosch mechanical injection pump feeding indirect injection pre-combustion chambers a design that runs quieter and tolerates worse fuel than direct injection. And, more than anything, it needs no electronics to run. There is no computer deciding anything. The engine is governed by springs, gears, and pressure. It is not flawless, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. The cast iron head can crack between the exhaust valves under repeated thermal stress. The injection pump wears and drifts out of timing somewhere past 200,000 or 300,000 miles and needs attention. The glow plugs and their relay cause hard starting in the cold. But none of those are the kind of failure that ends a car, and every one of them is fixable by a competent mechanic with hand tools. The engine was designed in an era and by a company that assumed a car would be repaired and kept, not replaced. The engine spread across the whole range. Its most common home was the W123, the boxy, durable Mercedes of the late 1970s and early 1980s, which became the best-selling model line the company had ever made, more than 2.5 million built across all versions. The diesel 300D was one of its defining variants, with well over 300,000 of the naturally aspirated sedans alone. The turbocharged 300SD, sold only in North America, added another 78,000. The same engine went into the S-Class, into wagons and coupes, into commercial vans, and into the G-Class, the military-bred off-roader, where its indifference to abuse mattered most. This was not a rare engine in a halo car. It was the everyday diesel of an entire generation of Mercedes, which is part of why so many survived. There were a great many of them built, and they were almost impossible to use up. In 1978, Mercedes did something with this engine that no one had done in a production car before. They bolted a turbocharger to it and sold it. The result, the OM617A, in the 300SD sedan, was the first turbodiesel passenger car in the world, and for the turbocharged version, Mercedes went further into durability, not away from it. Oil jets spraying the underside of the pistons to cool them. A nitrided crankshaft. Sodium-filled exhaust valves to shed heat. Stronger connecting rods. They were not building a fragile performance engine. They were building a harder version of the same immortal one. And to prove what it could do, they ran it against the clock. Mercedes built a research car called the C111, fitted it with a heavily turbocharged version of this same 5-cylinder diesel, and took it to the Nard high-speed track in Italy. In 1978, that diesel C111 set 9 world records and ran at over 300 kilometers an hour, close to 200 miles per hour, on a diesel engine descended from the one in a taxi. Mercedes had now shown both halves of the claim at once, that this engine could run faster than anyone believed a diesel could, and that the production version under your hood would outlast almost anything else on the road. There is one more reason this particular engine has a following that borders on devotion. Because the fuel system is mechanical and the injection is indirect, the OM617 will tolerate fuels a modern diesel would refuse outright. People run them on biodiesel. They run them on filtered waste vegetable oil and straight vegetable oil using a heated 2-tank setup, so the thick oil thins before it reaches the pump. It is not consequence-free run, unprocessed oil, and you will eventually foul the injectors or wash down the cylinder walls. But the engine's basic willingness to burn almost anything poured into it, combined with its refusal to die, is exactly why it became the engine of choice in places far from any dealership. In much of Africa and the Middle East, an OM617 Mercedes is not a classic car, it is infrastructure. And in the off-grid and self-reliance world in the West, it is hunted for the same reason any mechanical diesel is hunted. Nothing electronic stands between the driver and the road. Then, across the following decade, Mercedes took it out of the lineup, piece by piece, and the reasons had almost nothing to do with the engine wearing out as a design. The first reason was emissions. The OM617 used indirect injection, that pre-combustion chamber, that made it quiet and fuel-tolerant, and indirect injection is inherently less efficient and dirtier than direct injection. As European and American emissions rules tightened through the 1980s, heading toward the first Euro standards that took effect in 1992, an old mechanical, indirect injection diesel had no path forward. You cannot meaningfully clean up an engine that has no electronic control over its own fuel. To meet the new rules, Mercedes needed direct injection, electronic management, and eventually the common rail systems and exhaust treatment that define a modern diesel. The OM617's mechanical simplicity, the exact quality that made it immortal, was the quality that made it impossible to certify. So Mercedes replaced it. The 5-cylinder OM602 came in smaller, more efficient, with an aluminum head in place of cast iron. After it came the electronically controlled diesels. Then common rail. Passenger car use of the OM617 ended around 1985. It held on in the G-Class and commercial vans until 1991, and in some military and industrial use, a little past that. Then, it was gone. And nothing that replaced it was built to the same standard. Because nothing that replaced it was permitted to be. There is a second reason. Quieter, rarely said out loud. An engine that runs 600,000 miles without a rebuild is a magnificent thing to own and a difficult thing to sell. It does not bring the customer back for a new car. It does not generate the parts and service revenue that a more fragile engine does. The overbuilt, run-forever philosophy that produced the OM617 made sense in a company selling itself on building the best engineered car in the world and charging accordingly. It made less sense as the whole industry moved towards shorter ownership, tighter margins, and cars designed to be current rather than eternal. The OM617 was the product of a way of thinking about cars that the industry, Mercedes included, was already leaving behind. The engines are still out there, that is the proof. And it is everywhere. The taxi fleets that bought them in the 1980s are, in places, still running the same cars. The 300D and the 300SD have become cult machines sought out for the single reason that the thing under the hood does not quit. The same company that built them no longer builds anything like them. And will not. Because the two forces that ended the OM617 emissions law and the economics of selling cars have only grown stronger since. Mercedes-Benz built one of the most durable engines in the history of the automobile. It put it in ordinary sedans, sold it to ordinary people, and watched it run for decades, in the hardest conditions on Earth. Then, it stopped. On purpose. And engineered in a completely different direction. The OM617 was not killed because it was bad. It was killed because it was finished, because it was as good as a mechanical diesel could ever be, in the last years before the rules, and the money. Both decided that an engine which lasts forever is not what a car company is in business to build.